My name is Jenny Serrano, and I'm 43 years old. I'm a mom of two kids. My daughter Naya is 20. My son Asher is 13. And I live in Los Angeles. I'm currently a Children's Services Administrator 3 for the Department of Children and Family Services within the County of Los Angeles. For the average person coming through a social work pathway to get to my position, I would say you would have to be here for 20 to 30 years before you would work your way up to this level. That's, being on the line, working cases, becoming a supervisor, maybe taking an administrator route and going the 1, the 2 to get to the 3. There are a limited number of positions at my level. I think there's probably less than 20. A lot of the work that I do requires a lot of strategizing outside of an actual meeting. Most of that strategy is done in my car. So a lot of calls, a lot of pre-work that gets done, a lot of communicating with different stakeholders, both internally and externally, really to just get us on the same page. You aren't just walking in sort of cold and unprepared in a meeting. You've done a lot of work before you get there so that things can be set up in a way that actually moves everybody forward in a really expeditious manner. We're here on Severance Street near USC. This is where Fraternity and Sorority Row is, and we're out in front of a house that I called my home for about 6 months when I was 18 years old. So when I turned 18, I aged out of foster care, and there was no transitional housing options for kids like me. So I ended up somehow at this shelter program, and it was run by a nonprofit, and this old house was the house that the beds were in, that the program was in. So I showed up and I moved in. Yeah, so I came here Christmas of 1994, and it was a godsend. I was couch surfing. I was riding trains and buses all night, and otherwise homeless, until a social worker told me about this program at this particular house. And so I came one cold night in December near Christmas, like I said, and they opened their doors and they let me in. And so I stayed here for 6 months, and it was just a foundational place for me to kind of figure out what made sense for my life and what I needed to do to really start laying the foundation for that. Going to school, going to work, sort of watching other kids not do those things. So I was just super motivated and super inspired to change the trajectory of my life. This was a point in time. This wasn't my life. I wasn't going to be a homeless person. I wasn't going to be an uneducated person. I was going to do everything I could to give myself a better chance. I feel like living here gave me the ability at least to sort of sit and think and plan for what I envisioned my life to be. And a huge component of that was education, and the secondary component that was just as, I don't even want to say it was a secondary component, but the other component was that I had to go to work. I was deathly poor. I mean, obviously I was living in a shelter. I didn't even have enough money to wash my clothes. The first thing I did on that Monday, I moved in on a Friday, and on Monday I said, point me in the direction of the local community college. And they said, it's Los Angeles City College. And I said, how do I get there? They said, well, you can go up Hoover. You can go up Hoover, or you can go down Adams, and you can go down Vermont. And so I walked it. And I continued to walk it that whole first semester because I didn't have enough money to ride the bus. And so every day I'd get up from this place at 8 in the morning and start the walk. And I would take my classes at City. I found a job at an after-school program. And so from 2 to 7, Monday through Friday, I worked at the after-school program, and then I would drag myself back here at the end of the day. And I did that for 6 months, saved a tiny bit of money, and was able to move into my first apartment with a roommate at the conclusion of that 6 months. That's what really drives a lot of the work that I do, is that kids have to work when they're in these situations. I didn't have a choice. I had to eat. I had to have clothing. I had to find bus fare. I had to figure out how I was going to move out of here within 6 months. All of that stuff is really dire. You don't have the luxury of, leaning on anybody else to make that happen. For a young person to know that you're not limited only to, the path that you see, is good to know. Because if I was in school, I never would have imagined, oh, this will be my path. My path will look like this, or this will be the position that I'll have. This position wasn't designed. There was nothing. A lot of the positions that I took were because people knew me and they knew what I could do, and they created those positions for me.